This poem is called Today I Thought About God. I remember learning that God knew every hair on my head. I'm imagining God winding every curl around itself, curving what is straight into what is natural. And I thought about my hair, the way it's always coiling and recoiling. I wonder why it shrinks to a tiny fraction of its full length. And then I remember that I am trying to measure what comes out of my head on a metric that was built to idealize what is straight. If God knows every hair on my head, I imagine that God understands what it means to detangle hundreds of thousands of pieces one by one. I wonder why my hair mats together every chance it gets. And then I remember that when the roots of trees curve and grow between and among each other, they can withstand earthquakes. I realize that when ignorance threatens to rip the ground beneath our feet, everything that isn't straight will actually need to mat together until there isn't enough coconut oil in the world to separate us. I think about why my hair acts straight every time someone tries to destroy it. I think about how many people act straight every time someone tries to destroy them. So if God actually knows the hair on my head, maybe God could also foresee what pain it would take to force straightness onto a head so queer. Maybe God saw Bible verses being written, like hot combs waiting to burn, like relaxers left in too long, like wondering when I should say something to someone about how much it hurts while picking at the scabs on my scalp while simultaneously scheduling my next appointment. When I started college, I decided to cut out all the straight parts and see what grew in. And I never understood just how destructive it was to constantly straighten until I saw my natural self begin to thrive. I don't know what God meant to do by putting something so unstraight on top of a head so unstraight, but there are reasons they say this is unmanageable, not because it's impossible to love, not because it's impossible to care for, but because it is impossible to subdue, because I am impossible to subdue. Sure, I could try and make it straight and avoid everything that might let it revert back. But I know I'd rather not panic every time it almost gets wet. And maybe God understands. If not, at least God knows. Thank you.